Good morning. This week we're going to be talking about two really big words. Okay, so I need you to put your listening ears on for this one. We're going to be talking about this word, conflict. What was my word? Say it. Conflict. So the word is conflict, and all it means is a problem. Okay, have you ever heard that word conflict? You might have a conflict with your sibling. Maybe your sister took your doll or came in your room when you didn't want her to. So that would be a conflict, a problem. What else could have a conflict? Sometimes our life has a conflict, right? And all the time, when we're reading a story, it has a conflict. It has a big problem. So when we say conflict, we're going to say conflict, the big problem. And I'll show you why here in a minute, okay? The big problem. So far we have the setting and the characters. We have conflict. So you can almost see it's like a mountain. So this problem has to get all the way up here, and then at the very tippity top, okay, that is the most exciting part of the whole story, okay? So when we're talking about stories, we have the setting and the character, we have the conflict, the big problem, the most exciting part, and then as they start to solve that problem, we call this the resolution. Say that word for me. Resolution. How the problem gets solved. Say it again. Resolution. How the problem gets solved. Okay? So we've got the setting and the characters, the conflict, and the resolution. So this week we're going to be looking at big problems and how do they solve those problems. Okay? So you can also call this the cause and effect. Okay? So what causes them to have to do these things? Now, I want you to think about some of your favorite movies, because movies are stories, right? They're just stories that have images. So one of my favorite movies is The Little Mermaid. If you haven't seen The Little Mermaid, it's about a mermaid who falls in love with a human, and she wants to go and have him see her, but she's a mermaid and her dad doesn't want her to, right? So hopefully all of you have seen this one. So what is the big problem in that story? She's in love with a human. That's the big conflict. That's the problem, right? And her dad doesn't like it. So how does she solve the problem? How does she find a resolution for her problem? Did y'all hear that sentence? How does she find the resolution for her problem? She what? She goes to a sea witch who gives her legs, but doesn't really solve the problem, does it? She has to become has to become brave, really is what happens. Think about another favorite movie. A favorite movie. Trying to think of one that just came out. Have you seen Abominable, about the Yeti who gets stuck in a city? So his big problem is that he wants to go home. What's the setting of Abominable? It's in a city, and then it's their journey home, right? Who's the main character? The girl, the monster, and the two boys, right? Those are the characters. Their big problem is getting the Yeti home, and they solve that by taking him there themselves, right? So when we're looking at conflict, it's the problems in the story, the big problem in the story. So sometimes there's a lot of little bitty problems in our story, and we kind of have to wade through those, because especially in chapter books, they might have a few smaller problems. But what is the biggest problem? What is the whole story building to? Okay? So we're going to be talking about conflict and resolution. Say it again. Conflict and resolution in all the books that we read this week. Okay? All right, guys. So our book today has a pretty good conflict in it. He's really trying to solve a big problem. Okay? Can't wait to see you. So today, after you read the story, you're going to comment with the conflict and the resolution. What was the big problem? How did they solve it? They got kind of creative in this one. Okay, bye guys.